14th of November 2008, Tracy very kindly booked a holiday to go and see the famous steps in Philadelphia, and I hope you enjoy the fact that I'll be identifying Rocky film locations throughout Philadelphia. Not all of them, but certainly some of them, which you'll find particular interest if you're a Rocky fan and when you're in Philadelphia you want to catch up where places were actually filmed. So here they are. So we took off from London and headed across to Philadelphia, and it was very special because it was my birthday. So it's 4:45 for 1 minute. Come on.
How's it going? Come on. Come on, Chloe.
The 4:45 refers to, I think, the moment I was born.
It's very warm as well. Oh, very humid.
When we arrived at the museum, we just had to take the first opportunity to run up the steps. Didn't actually count them at the time because I was too excited. And that was the footprints that we found where Rocky stood, or Sylvester Stallone stood. So Tracy's carrying one of our old handy cams from 2008. I can't believe there's cars coming into it.
We are again in another place in a foreign country.
Yeah, we're in Philadelphia on my birthday,
USA.
the 14th of November 2008. And while we were there waiting, these three coaches turned up and everyone came out of it and started running up the steps and imitating the Rocky. We're more running up the steps, so there's two. Same steps, the Rocky Balboa.
Stand up on the steps!
So it was a very dark and dreary night, but as we walked down the steps we could see that the Rocky statue was just off to the left. That used to be on top of the steps for the making of Rocky 3, but it was moved down to the lower steps. Quite interesting to see American sirens and ambulance. So this is the Irish pub where Robert, with all his friends, meet for a drink and where he is watching television. One of the things I always wanted to do was actually be in the same places where the film was made. And you know, the Irish pub was actually used as a set. That curb area where I was standing, the lamppost, is where they were both stood for the filming.
You want to come inside?
No, I just want to get your opinion on something.
Sure. Opinion on what?
Well, you know they say you only go around once, right?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Well, I think I want to do something.
Like what?
Fight. You know, nothing big, small stuff like locally.
It was a very busy pub, and
Don't you think you're too,
got to have a drink in there.
you know, old?
Yeah, but you think you ought to.
Today. There's no question that Rocky Balboa fought the much tougher fights during a much tougher era in boxing. When you look at Mason Dick.
That's Kevin King with Robert in that clip. That's the arch windows where that scene was captured. This is the Circa Centre, not very far away from the Irish pub. It is where Rocky goes to see Robert at work. And obviously he can see that Robert's not getting on at work very well, and his boss is having a go at him at the end foyer. And notice how Rocky is, all the office workers recognise Rocky, the big shadow.
Hey, how you doing?
That's the escalator that Robert goes back up at the end of the scene, and that's where Rocky is standing at the revolving doors as Robert goes back up the escalator. So the next day then, we headed off back up the steps. Didn't count them again, another 68. But this was a shot, many shots of different camera angles. We must have ran up about 6 or 7 times, just so that Tracy could very kindly just capture me at different angles, and I can sort of join them all together, make it look like one run. That jump at the end there was a bit like in Rocky 2, I hope. I was trying to recreate the Rocky 2 bit where he's with all the kids around him and he jumps with his hands in the air. And Tracy had a go too, only fair that she's there with me. And again you can see where Rocky is running along the steps with the school children behind him. So as you come back down the steps you have the Benjamin Franklin Parkway.
Here's Brian outside the Philadephia Art Museum. A statue that he's lit. The sun's come out and it's really warm.
So from the Rocky steps along the Benjamin Franklin Parkway, where Rocky 2 he runs past the Rodin Museum. So from this fountain basically, down the road of the parkway. He was obviously on the road running down, it wasn't closed when we were there of course, so I ran down the path and then ran past the Rodin Museum, and as you can see in the shot at the bottom right where he runs past it. So we head off then to the Independence Hall, and the Independence Hall is in Rocky 2 where Rocky is chased by the kids and jumps over the park seats or park benches. From Rocky 2, when after Rocky gets out of hospital, he then takes Adrian to the zoo, but as he leaves the hospital, this is the scene when he is on the way to the zoo and the advertisers are trying to get him ready for to do some advertising.
Give me a call. I'll call you. You got a number? I just call you. Hey, yo! I'll call you. All right, now you call.
So 14 minutes from there you can walk and you can head off to the Italian market. Now that Giordano sign is a replacement to the one they actually used in the film. I noticed that there's a telephone number in the one in real life, and in the film there's a different telephone number, so maybe they put that up for the film. But the Italian market was used for Rocky 1, Rocky 2, as you can see just now, Rocky 2 scene. And it was just nice to be there to know that that's the street he ran down. And also using Rocky Balboa when he came back after all those years to do his own cooking at Adrian's restaurant.
Listen, the reason I brought you is because I want to know if you got any money for training expenses, huh?
Pat steaks were in Rocky 1. Rocky stood outside.
We'll see. $500.
We had never tried cheesesteaks before.
No, you never had any luck.
Tracy eating a cheesesteak for the first time. Here at Pat Steaks. It's famous. We could have had one at Gino Steaks, but it's much better to say, well, let's get one at Pat Steaks. Gino's. Pat Steaks, and I'll show you the plaque on the floor in a second. This is the famous plaque on the floor where Rocky stood for that scene that I just showed you in the bottom right hand corner.
Listen, Bill, the reason I brought you is because I want to know if you got any money for
So this is Adrian's restaurant. It's actually Victor's Cafe. It's quite unique, Victor's Cafe, because we booked a restaurant meal there one night, and there was opera singers singing in there. So, and it was the waiters. Bit of a surprise. Hope I have a spoiler alert, but the waiters sing to you when you're having a meal.
So you're going through with this?
As you come out of Victor's Cafe, or Adrian's restaurant, you just turn right and you head down towards this crossing, and this is the corner where you can see the backgrounds is exactly the same. Where Rocky stood there holding his hand up to explain to Robert in that most inspiring speech that's very, very popular.
Don't forget to visit your mother.
Victor's Cafe. And yeah, we really did go in. We went in and had a meal. And wonderful evening. This is another shot of the cafe inside, and I thought I'd include this because while you're in there you see lots of pictures on the wall, and the pictures on the wall have all been changed because obviously when the film was being made they put Rocky posters up with Rocky frames, and particularly the painting behind him.
The bell. That's right, the bell, and I ain't never been so tired.
But I understand this is why Sly liked this cafe so well, or this restaurant so well, because it had all these wonderful pictures all over the place. And they obviously just changed it, and this is still up on the wall in the Adrian's restaurant, or Victor's Cafe, the Rocky Balboa poster.
I would.
So we head off to Rocky's house. Now, in this respect, we took a taxi to go to Rocky's house. It was quite a long way, and we felt it was easy to do that. So a 16-minute drive in taxi from the Rocky Steps. It's a whole different area in Philadelphia, and I do recommend you either have a taxi driver and he or she then wait for you to see the sights and then move on to the next place. I would recommend that. Just gets you around a bit quicker. Because you probably won't be so easy to call a taxi while you're there, so just hang on to your taxi driver so he can get you back to the main part of the city. But there's 1818, Rocky's house from Rocky 1 and 2. Of course he didn't move out of there until Rocky 2 when he got married to Adrian.
Yeah, something like that. Hey, you want to come inside?
I've tried to show some of the shots from 2008 that replicates the actual from the film.
To keep you company when you run.
No, we couldn't believe this when I was actually editing this film, how close and how not very far away was Little Marie's house in the film of Rocky Balboa. I did just a 5-minute walk. Now that red house was knocked down when we were there, which was part of the movie, because it's now just a green lawn. And
How you doing?
Hey, what a surprise.
I'm looking on Street Map now in 2020, the house to the left of Little Marie's house, that's been knocked down as well now. But Little Marie's house is still there.
We picked up Punchy a couple of days back.
Punchy.
Yeah.
Your name's Dog Punchy?
Put it on
Well,
the steps.
he come up with me.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I think that's disrespectful.
It's always tickles Tracy.
Oh, no, it's fine, really, no, it's easy to remember, and it's all that, and you know. Listen, what do you think about coming over to the restaurant?
What for?
I had to believe just over there to the right was where Rocky's house is.
For work. The host is gonna be having a kid. You do good. I ain't alright.
Oh, come on.
Why are you asking me that?
Wow, I'm asking because you danced around all these problems. You might as well come and dance with me. Now, I ain't that good, but, you know, I'm probably better than the average bear.
If you look behind me now, behind me, the church, the background, the bridge, there it is, you can see it now just on my left shoulder, where the train is. Just below that is Rocky's house. So while you're there, check it out, look across there and just see how close it is. So the taxi driver, still with us, took us down to Mighty Mick's gym. I've highlighted there that it's actually a 19-minute walk, but we took a taxi, as you can see. Now it was open then. That's the pet shop, or the tropical fish shop, where Adrian worked in Rocky 1 and Rocky 2, and that's it was open Mickey Mick's gym when we were there in 2008, but I believe that's now closed. And our taxi driver very kindly headed us back to the main part of Philadelphia city centre. I'm sure there's lots of other little sites you could go and see in that area, but the research had done at that time only had located those three. I always remember in Rocky 2 when Rocky ran past this bridge, Gerard Bridge. So I went to run. It's not very far from Rocky Steps, just north of there. And on the way up that road was the Laurel Hill Cemetery. But as you walk in through the entrance, as you can see there in the entrance, go left, and Adrian Balboa's film gravestone is there, prop, just on the fence line. Possibly because they didn't want people to go into the graveyard area, but we found it. We had a little walk around and we found the actual tree where Rocky puts his seat up on the gap. And you can see that we did actually find the actual tree, the branches, and the location where Adrian's grave was in the film. And this is the path that they walk down to head back out the gate. And while you're there, you do remember scenes of the movie, and it's just so special to sort of try and recreate the moment. Now if you look just to my left now, see to my left, you'll see two gravestones in the grass. I go to the right of the two of them. If you look at the bottom right of Sly itself, he actually steps over the one on the right. Now. And turns round and waves goodbye. So we head back down downtown Philadelphia. Again, the sights and sounds of Philadelphia streets. It was obviously in November evening. This is our last day. We were only there for 3 days. And being fall, lots of leaves, and it was quite spectacular seeing the autumn leaves, lovely colours. So it's the last day in Philadelphia. And one last time, go and see the Rocky statue. So we just had to run up the steps one more time. And I'd just like to say thank you to Tracy, who flew me over to Philadelphia to recreate some of the key moments of the Rocky films. To be at the same film locations meant a lot to me. having seen the Rocky film since 1981 and even been a part of the Rocky Balboa movie, where we got a ringside seat to watch the final fight scenes of Sylvester Stallone. And we met all the cast. Don't forget to subscribe and see you next time. And don't forget to ring that bell.